In this. All right. So we'll be having 5 types of tables in SAP HANA. One is your column store table. Second is row table, history column table. Okay. Next is your global temporary table. Another is your local temporary table. Now we'll see some main points inside this. Column based storage, and the majority of the access is through large number of rows but with only a few selected attributes. It's fine. It's mainly a column store table. Next, your row store table. Okay. Third is your history table. So when you have a history table, then it will be supporting your time travel. Okay. And the execution of the queries against historic states of the database is possible. Okay, I'll explain you when it comes to this. Global temporary table. Now, table definition is globally available, while data is visible only to the current session, and the table is truncated at the end of the session. And when you go for local temporary table, the table definition and the data is visible only to the current session, and the table is truncated at the end of the session. Okay, so I'll go for my Excel file. Let me take an orders table with the data also. Control C, and I'll try to paste up this. Create column table orders. Now I'll give this as orders underscore T1. I'm trying to create a new table called orders underscore T1. So I'm trying to create a column table here and click on execute. In order to insert the data, when I click on execute, now what happened to this is, okay, orders, we have renamed this, Control F, make it as orders and orders underscore T1, replace all. Now select the whole insert statements. Done. Finally, when you want to select the data, select star from orders underscore T1. Execute this. You find the data available. Okay, so this is one what you try to give it. Now next statement comes here is your local temporary table. So when you're creating a local temporary table, you need to give it as create local temporary column table hash orders 1. Okay, I will try to create this as create local temporary column table. Now orders underscore, I'll give it as orders underscore T2. Whenever you're trying to define this as a local temporary table, then you have to proceed or prefix with a hash here. Previous one, orders underscore T1, will be created physically here. When you refresh, you can see here. No, this is under system, sorry. Let's go to Control C. This is, I need to create a session with better not to have the system session. I'll create for our user one. Okay, let's forget about orders. So normally when an orders table is created, and when you see that it has got a structure, it will be having a structure, and the data type will be in column store table, right? And when I want to see the data for this, I can go for open content, and I can see the data 11 records are available here. Okay, fine. Next is, now we want the requirement for the user is, while running your procedures, in a procedure you want to execute, you want to first create some table, then after that insert some data temporarily into the table, but you don't want to waste. This table is only for one-time use only. It should not be stored. Or you want to create some 10 tables, like in SAP, in an ABAP program, we try to create some 5-6 temporary tables called internal tables. And these internal tables will not be storing any data, but they exist up to the time the program is executing. At end of the particular program, automatically the data which is created, the tables which are created in the memory will be deleted. That is only for the temporary purpose. In the same way here in Hana, whenever you want to create some temporary table, then we'll go for create local column temporary table, and I'll try to execute it. Then, but when this table has been created, so that is for this particular session only. The session now is what? HDB or user one. Now let's go for the table here and click on refresh. Once the table is created successfully, then you should be able to see this particular table here also, that is hash orders underscore T2. It's not there here. So this will not create a physical table within your schema, but will create only within the memory for that particular session only. Now I want to insert the data into this particular table, so I'll try to select this, Control F, orders underscore T1 has to be replaced with orders underscore T2 and should be prefixed with your hash. Replace all, close. Now let me insert this data into this temporary table. Done successfully. Now I am trying to read the data from this temporary table. Select. I can see that select star from hash orders underscore T2 has already inserted some table inside this, and we're able to see the data here. Cool. But this particular table will not be visible physically within your schema. It is only for this particular session only. Second point is, for example, I'm trying to create one more schema for this particular user, one more session. So our user one, let me open one more session here. This is session 1 and this is session 2. Now here, once you think that the table is created, let me copy the same statement here, select statement, and I'll put in the second session. Select star from hash orders T2. When I try to execute this, I get an error telling that you cannot find the table or view hash underscore orders T2 in this particular schema, because there is no table within this existing in this particular schema at all. Mean to say the table is there for this particular session only, and the data also is available only for this particular session only. When you open this table in a second session, try to access this in the second session, then it is not accessible, right? Okay, now what we'll do is, we have another type of table, what we call it as an global temporary table. Create global temporary column table. Now I'll give it as T3, and only for local temporary only we'll try to create this hash. Otherwise we should not keep this hash before the prefix of the table. Let's say orders underscore T3, and this is a global temporary column table. And for this all statements, let me go for Control F. Orders underscore T2, and there should be an hash. Replace with orders underscore T3. Replace all. Now, first let me create this global temporary column table. Select, execute it. Once done, now we can check this particular table within the table schema. Now let me go to this. You can see that there is an orders underscore T3. Cool. And when you try to double click this, what type of table is this? Column table. Now when you go for the further properties within the table, it is a temporary table, type global. Got it? So you can find what type of table is it, because it creates local temporary, doesn't create a table in the schema at all, but this will be existing within the schema. That's good. And now when I try to go for open content, right, but currently there is no data inserted. Let's go for insertion of the data first. Execute it. So I executed 11 records inside this, and if you want to see the data of this 11 records within the table, yes, you're able to see the 11 records here. Cool. So this table is created for this session only, and the data is inserted for this 11 records are inserted for this session only, and after insertion you are able to see that 11 records from this particular table of this session. Now in the second session, what I will do is I'll try to insert only some 3 records inside this. The second session, because the table is existing, I'm trying to insert this 3 records only into this particular session. When I click on insert, what is happening is first it inserts this 3 records into this particular table, and when I see this, normally 11 plus 3, it should be 14 records overall, right? Already 11 is there, again 3 records have been inserted, so total it should be 14. But when I go for the select statement, you can see that only this 3 records has been inserted. Mean to say, in this particular session, whatever the records the other user is trying to insert, he'll be able to see only that data, but not the data which has been inserted within the previous session. And if you want to see the data globally within this particular tables folder, go for open content. Altogether, you don't have any data at all. So at schema level, globally it doesn't store any data for any user, but will temporarily store this data for that particular current session only. And say for example, if the same statement, if I try to open one more session, right, if I try to open one more session for this, and let me use the statement as select star from T3 for the third user and execute this. Now third user will not be able to see any data because he has not inserted any records, changed any records, deleted any records within the session. And if you want to insert, say for example, only one record now within this session, so let me insert one record inside this. Now I'll go for select statement. You'll be able to see the one record here. And when I try to execute this in the second session, it is 3 records And when I go for the next session, first session, is 11 records, right? So the table structure is being created globally. So every user will be able to see the table structure so that they can independently insert their own data, but finally the other user will not be able to access the other session's data. Say for example, when I try to say, for example, there are different users in a company, like there are some R&D people, so who will do some R&D, they want to put some R&D data inside that particular one. And say for example, there are sales research people, so they don't want to put their own data, and because they're all dummy data, they keep on inserting, deleting, so that it is not the final still. So every department wants to have their own data, but they don't want that particular dummy data to be visible to all the users. Okay, so for that purpose, what we can do is we can create a global structure which can be used instead of creating the tables each and every time within the memory. We can have a common global structure and we can create that. Okay, sounds good. Create column table, orders to, like orders. Okay, so let's see what will happen. So creation of the table has been created, and let me refresh. So there is an order to table created, and if I try to see the data out of this, there is no data at all. So when you want to delete a table entirely, then you can give it as drop table, and you can put your table name there. Executed. Now when I right click and go for refresh, now orders to table is not there because it is totally deleted. Second, I'm trying to create the same table, orders to, like orders. This time what I will do is I want the data also to be copied along with this, then give the statement as with the data. Okay, now execute this, and I'll give the statement as select star orders to, and execute it. Right, so orders to also is being loaded with data now. Cool. So this is one, but again what happens is whenever I want to create a table, now here this is one statement which you need to practice with this, and you can go for your drop table statement. Now if you want to delete only some records, then I can give it as delete from orders to where currency is equal to INR. Okay, say for example, let's try with this. Now you have INR, USD, EUR, and you want to delete only some records where it is INR, then execute this. Now delete from orders to where currency is equal to INR. Tuk, tuk. Now we want to find out from here. So you can see from the syntax here, could not execute delete from orders to where currency is equal to INR. So the statement here, you can see that there is something troubling up the single quote. Okay, should be in blue color here. Now I'll try to delete this. Now once deleted, now select star from orders again. So there is no INR here. Currency, there is no INR because we have deleted that records wherever the INR is there. Okay, so now when you want to insert some data into orders 2 from orders, okay, so only specific orders only, then you can give it as insert into orders 2. Then within the brackets, you can give it as select star from orders where currency is equal to USD. Okay, I'll just copy this and let me put inside this. Let's see. Okay, now this USD is having small column. Now in order to delete the whole data, then I'll give it as orders from, delete from orders 2 and select this. We don't have any data here. Now when you want to insert the data from orders table into orders 2, the second table, but only the data which has USD, some corresponding data, then I can use this. It will stuck up. Now it's telling the session has been closed. So what I'll do is I'll try to open the session again. Or I'll try to open one more session. Now here insert into orders 2. First I'll select the data what is available. I'll try to. So here we have the data in orders 2. The data is available. So let me delete the data from here and execute it. And go for the select statement again. I think my network is getting slower. I'll try to close down and reopen again. So able to hear now? Hello? Are you able to hear me now? Okay. So I'm facing some problem here. I'll try to do it remotely. But intermittent. Tut, 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 tut. Our user is getting problem, yeah. Okay. So now I'm able to open the data from here. Now delete from orders 2. And let me go for select statement again. I don't know, it's going, when you're giving a delete statement, it's going creating a problem. So you can see here the process, what is happening for this statement. Okay, I'm not deleting this. Cancel the request. This is fine. I will create another table, orders 3, and I'll not create with any data. So I can just give this as create this with this. It's been created. Now insert into orders 3 and select star from orders where currency is equal to USD. And let me select this and click on execute. So the problem will be with your single quote here. Now select star from orders 3, execute it. So only the data with USD will be transferred into your second table, that is your orders 3. So here what we have is the insert statements. We have different types of insert statements. Insert into table values, you're going to give the values, individual values. Okay, so this is one syntax. Another is when you want to use this an insert statement, you can use insert into table, select star from, you can give this statement, what are the columns you want to update it, that you can just give it up. Or you can give this as insert into table, then you can give the columns which has to be updated. Now values, then you can give the values what has to be done for this. Okay, so these are the different types what you can do it. And if you want to create a table with say for example, normally when you use a like statement, if my orders table has got 100 fields, then unnecessarily, and I don't want this particular 100 fields table to be created, but I want only some 20 fields to be there in orders too. Then what I can do is, instead of going for a like statement, like will always create a copy of the table. But if you want a table with some restricted columns, and what you can do is you can give it as create column table orders 3, then you would give here as okay, give it as select order number, material ID, order quantity from orders, and if you don't want data, then you have to give it as with no data if you want only the structure. So then let me copy this and insert. Now I'm going to create one more table called orders 4, create column table orders 4 as select order number, material ID and order quantity. Only I want 3 fields to be created in this orders 4 table. So try to execute this. Done. Now select star from orders 4. So you can say that there is only restricted data here. Okay, so this is how we try to use this particular syntax. So this statement is very important for us. Okay, and create column table orders 4. Normally what happens is, from the source the table may be replicated directly into your HANA, but the customer may not require all the fields. Then you need to make some changes within the table. Okay, so for that we'll be using this create column table and give a select statement, but within this you should have as statement here. And coming to the different data types what we have in SAP HANA, so I'll just go for that. Okay, these are the different data types what you have. So first is your varchar. So varchar, it is an ASCII character string with maximum length of n, where n is less than or equal to your 5000. And SAP we have an Unicode, right? So Unicode will support multilingual storage of the data. So here, for if you want to store the data in multilingual, then multi-languages, so then we'll be having it as nvarchar. So nvarchar data will support Unicode character string, whereas varchar will not support Unicode, and the maximum length will be less than or equal to 5000. So while modeling, so if you don't want that much data storage, for example, you tell yes, no and all, or if you think that the character is only some 2 department is only 2, 3 and all, so then instead of wasting a lot of space for this data type, what we can do is we can use this as alphanumeric. So alphanumeric string with maximum length is what, less than 127. And we have another data type called short text, and this will be supporting Unicode character string, and the length will be same like your varchar only, nvarchar, but it will be supporting a special data type for text search features, and that text search engine which you will be having in your HANA, that is your fuzzy search, and this is based on your nvarchar here. Okay, so when I go for text analytics, then I'll be explaining about your fuzzy search and other things and all. So for the time being, you can think that, so just like your nvarchar, we'll be having the short text also same, but by default your fuzzy search will be enabled here. So for normally for the text search, whenever you think that there is more search feature to be enabled on this particular data, then we can go for your short text. The same way when you go for your numeric data, that is when you have list values which will be stored there, so then we can use a tiny int. Then we can go for small int. So it is from 32,767. So minus and plus values. This is the range of the values which you can store it. An integer will have this value here. Then big int, still for your scientific values, you can store it up to this. So as an architect, you should be very careful. If you're an architect, then you should be very careful while defining at the core level of your database designing itself. Don't unnecessarily waste the space of the within the database. Okay, so the modeling of your table is the core point of your project. Whenever you're starting and you want all the data to be stored within a database for your analytics, the first point is, right, what type of data type you're trying to take it. So first you have to analyze the requirement. So then you should see that current as well as the future values what can come, you can predict, and after that you can decide what type of column you're going to data type you're going to use it for a particular column. And for decimal, we'll be having decimal, small decimal. Okay, so we'll be having your precision and as well as scale. So scale is from 368 dot, again we'll have it as precision as dot to 2 decimal places, 3 decimal places, like this I can go for. So you can go for small decimal, and for double of this will be your decimal, then real as well as double. Okay, this all will be used for your scientific purpose again. So normally when you give the data type as, for example, your salary, then we'll give as decimal. Then after the decimal within the bracket, we'll give it as 10 comma 2, right? So we have to specify the scale as well as your precision for that. And the data type for date, so this is a default date format which you have to give in Hana. So mainly your date will have your year hyphen 05 month and the date. The time, you can give it as within your colon and hours, minutes and seconds. And if it is second date, then it will have date as well as a time along with that. And the fourth one is your timestamp. So you can have some 10 million records. You can insert 10 million records within a second. So the precision is 10 millionth of a second. Data can be put into this. So you'll have your date, the time, and the fraction of your time or second also. Not 1 second, so a fraction of the second up to that. Okay, fine. So this is how we try to specify. And we'll be having the special data types, that is your glob, nglob, blob, and text. So that is your compressed text. So for example, normally your character data string, characters data can be up to 2 GB of data can be stored. And if it is Unicode character string, then you will have it as nglob here. And your binary data, large binary data, so we call this as blob, binary large object. And blob data can store your multimedia files like your text files, PDF files data, as well as video files, right? MP3 files, songs, movies, everything can be stored within your blob. And the fourth type of data what we'll have is your text. So text also is a long Unicode character string, and which will have a maximum of 2 GB. And here the one more advantage with this is, like your glob, it will be there, plus again a special data type for your text search feature, that is your fuzzy search will be used up. So whenever you want to store the huge data, so for example PDF has got some 50 pages of data, from that particular 50 pages you want to analyze over the text, like iPhone 7, how was the performance, how was the market strategy. If you want to search the data over that and find this, then we can use text. So short text and text will have this fuzzy search feature or indexing, which will be enabled by default. Okay, then fine. So for tomorrow's up to the tomorrow class, so what I want you people to practice is, so practice with the topics to be covered by you is, you have to go for creating your row table, column table, then history column table, local temporary table, global temporary table. So all these 5 tables you have to create it. Then after that, just do some modification to the structure of your fields as well as columns as well as table names. Add some fields, delete some fields, right? Do some modification there. Then after that, then you have to create one more table with the same structure and the data has to be copied. So you have to create a copy of the table. Then sometimes you need, from table 1 you need to create table 2 and create only some fields and copy the data along with that. Okay, so I think that you can complete this by tomorrow. Okay, so tomorrow evening I'll catch up with you guys, and any problem in accessing the server, please let me know.